All right, all right. Just give me a second. All right, it should be working relatively smoothly. So I will of course start off with saying Shalom. I do want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And just gonna be a late night um quick stream. I'm streaming live from YouTube, not StreamYard tonight. So just a solo platform. Um, I actually just got off of a debate on what's his channel? Berean Perspective Apologist, I believe is the brother's name, which it was a good conversation. It was a relatively friendly and respectable dialogue back and forth. Right, I enjoyed the conversation. Told them all, come back some other time and we can continue where we left off. And yeah, it was a pretty good discussion, which I'll re-upload it on my page within the next couple of days for those of you who haven't watched it. Or if you want to watch the entire discussion, you can find it on his channel. Once again, the brother's name is Berean Perspective Apologist. He got like what is it, 7,000 subscribers, I believe, if you look him up. Just say that so you know if you find the right channel or not. Hey, what's up, Rudy? How's it going, man? He said, "Oh man, the ETT hour." Yeah, man. It's always good to do these every once in a while. Have a late night, hour stream. You got to have one, here or there once in a while. Um, so yeah, looking back on the discussion, you know, um, it was, as I said, it was a fair discussion, right? Enjoyed it. I'm not sure necessarily of what denomination he is. I believe he told me at the start, but my mind forgot it already. Um, but many of his views that he came with are just regular Christian ideologies, which some of them I myself used to share as well when I was when I was in the Christian church. Right? I used to believe some of that stuff, right? Don't forget that, I myself, just like a lot of the brothers in this thing of ours, as Elder Apostle Gabar calls this, right? This truth, this thing of ours that we're in. Most of us came out of Christianity, right? Most of us, were in the church, whether we were, raised in the church. Some of us might have actually been pastors in the church. Some of the brothers in Great Millstone, there's like two or three of them that I, watched their content, and they said that they used to actually be pastors, in some of these churches, until, they actually, were awoken and found out that they're actually the true Israelites, right? And that they were in error or what they were teaching about the scriptures. Say, hey, we all been there, right? We all been there. I'm no different. I was, raised in the church my life too. First, in the Catholic Church, right? For a few years, and then to the, the Seventh Day Adventist Church as well for a handful of years. Which the Seventh Day Adventist, they're totally going off too, on many different things, but on some points they are right on a few points. Like I'll give you an example, which it's very few, but I'll give you an example. Like the Seventh Day Adventists acknowledge that we gotta follow God's law, but the part that they go off on is they only think that God's law is the Ten Commandments, and they don't know that in the scriptures there's actually 613 commandments that we got to operate within, right? We got to operate and live our life within those 613 commandments. Of course, we're under grace, which, they'll take that out of um, context as well, because the Catholics will say, oh, not under the law, but rather under grace, so that means you can eat, shrimp, crab, and lobster, right? All you can eat buffet, with seafoods, which some seafood is lawful, depends on what it is. but a majority of the seafood our people eat is unclean, right? So, they'll take it out of context, right? When it says, oh, not under the law, but under grace, that means you can do whatever you want. No, it don't. What it simply means, being under grace, what it means is that, say, if you mess up, you can receive forgiveness for your sin, right? If you make a mistake, you can be forgiven for the mistake under Christ. That doesn't give you the liberty to deliberately go and commit sin. That's not true. That's even in the Apocrypha. What is that? Oh man, I haven't brought the scripture up for a while. I believe that's what is that? I believe that's Ecclesiasticus 15:24. I could be mistaken on that, but it's in the Apocrypha. It says that the Lord has given no man a license to sin. Right? God gave no man a license to commit sin. So these characters like Perry the preacher, and Tim the phony baloney preacher, right? His sidekick apostle over there on Perry's channel, right? They're leading people to sin. Hey, look, just accept Christ and you're good. You can live whatever lifestyle you want as long as you claim that you believe in who the world ignorantly calls Christ, and you're good. No, that's not correct according to the scriptures. You can't do that. You got to live and operate your life within the bounds and the boundaries that are set up by the Most High. See, Private War said, Rudy, he goes by both names, he said that Tim changed his name to the Apostle recently. Yeah, I saw that. That's why I called him Tim the Apostle, right? Perry has deemed Tim to be a apostle, which is pure bullshit right there. That don't make no damn sense. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I saw that Tim was on Primal Man stream a couple weeks ago, so I jumped on there with him. When I saw him, and that dude Gonzo, right, the Gonzo Beans character was on there as well. It was a funny conversation back and forth, but Tim's on there saying, "Oh, you can do whatever you want. Just claim Christ. They don't ask you 20 times, do you sin?" And then you say that you follow God's law to the best of your ability, but then they'll say, "Oh, well, that's not good enough." But then wait a second, but aren't you deliberately not following God's commandments? So how can you criticize me for trying to live a life within the bounds of the commandments of God, but yet you don't even follow the commandments? Like, you literally admit that you don't in any way, shape, or form try to obey what God said. That's hypocrisy right there, if I ever seen it. That's pure hypocrisy right there. It's a damn joke. And then the most ridiculous part is, they'll come out and they'll say that, you got to follow the law of the land, and then they'll add into the best of your ability, right? Follow man's law to the best of your ability. But then when we say to follow God's law to the best of your ability, somehow now we're totally bugged out and going way off when we tell people to obey God's law to the best of their ability. But then these jokers will turn around and say, follow man's law to the best of your ability. And then they'll say, well, don't follow God's law. If you're trying to teach people to obey God's law, then you're leading people to sin. It's like, well, where the hell do these characters come up with the bullshit they're saying? It's like, well, where do these guys come up with this nonsense from? And shit, you got people out here saying that we're living in the kingdom of heaven. You got people saying that, there's a future Messiah that's going to be born sometime, in 50 years here on earth. You got people saying that, the New Testament is fake. You got people saying that the God of the Old Testament is Satan. Right, they may as well call it the old Satan man. Inside joke. You got idiots out here talking about, that it's a sin for you to eat meat. Oh, and then there's one joker that I've actually had a conversation with this dude, and we invited him on to continue the conversation, but he chickened out. And then when we called him out, it's like, wait a second, you're going to make a video and claim that we're a coward. But yeah, we, when I say we, I'm saying I myself and Jay, right, Sacramento Truth Movement, we both offered him a chance to come on either his stream or my stream to have a conversation with us about where he sees different. And he backed out and didn't want to do it. But yet he got the nuts to sit there and say that we're the ones backing down. It's like, wait a second, where the hell do these fools come from? But I brought him up to say that I was listening to the conversation that me and him had when I, had to record it and upload it, back on to YouTube. I was listening to it and I did not initially catch this when we were having, the discussion in real time because I was focused on finding a verse, so I didn't necessarily hear him make this statement. Otherwise, I would have, called him out on it. But I was listening and he said something like, that God didn't intend for us to eat meat. Rather, God had a problem with us consuming animals, is what he said. Right? That God wasn't with us eating animals. So then I was to say, and again, I didn't initially hear him say this when we were having the discussion in real time. I only heard it on the, when I was listening to it over again after the discussion was over. I heard him say something like, oh, God's not with, us eating meat or any of that. God never said to eat meat. It's like, wait a second, what? So if God gave us in Leviticus 11, he gave us a list of creatures, animals we can and cannot eat. How can you say that God didn't tell us to eat meat if he told us there's some animals that we can eat? AKA meat that we can eat. And then the second strike, right? This is the straw that broke the camel's back, in other words, is what about when you go to Exodus 12, right? This is the spiritual KO. Somebody called the Ambalam because this cat just got laid out. If you go to Exodus 12 with the Passover story, right? What did the Most High command the Israelites to do? He told them, go kill a lamb, right? Go kill lambs, right? Burn it with fire and eat it. Wait a second, what? I thought you just said that God didn't command us to eat animals, but in the Exodus story, when the Israelites had to perform the Passover, they ate lamb. And wait a second, God commanded them to eat lamb. And it says that anybody who would not take part in that supper, they would be cut off from their people. So it was something that you had to do. Right? So guess what? There ain't no damn vegetarian getting around that. No, you have to eat the Passover. Or your ass is getting tossed to the side. There ain't no getting around it. So I bring this up to show that what that cat said was, oh my goodness, that was an absolute spiritual knockout. What I just brought up there to what that simp said that God didn't command us to eat animals, but yet you got cut in two ways because God gave us a law of animals we're allowed to eat, and then second, God told the Israelites to eat meat. He told them to eat the lamb. So how do you get around that? It's ridiculous. Next time I see him, I'm going to ask him that question because I need an answer for that. Oh, a few people are, Rudy. A few people are. Let's see. Right, so, just a bunch of damn nonsense, that people are out here, spewing. Oh, and then another thing, which I know Apostle Dahar watches my videos, right? I saw that he did a commentary on a clip I put up of, what was it, the Cross the Line radio, right, with Captain Tazariak and Chataza, right, from the ISUPK group. What's the ISUPK stand for? I believe it stands for Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, right? And they claim to be the like the original One West school, right? 1969. At least what I see from their, their banners and whatnot. Um, which I called into their show one time actually. And I do want to call in again because I actually have two very important questions for them regarding their, their theology, which they go off, here or there, right? They do go off here or there, but then on other things they're absolutely correct on, such as I'll give you an example. They were absolutely correct on their teaching about hell, and they were absolutely correct about the teaching of polygamy. So that's why I re-uploaded those clips to my channel, because I felt that they did a very phenomenal, or may I say, they were very skilled in the way that they broke the scriptures down. Now, a few months ago, I called them up and I asked them a question because I was listening to one of their radio shows, and there was a dude who called in to their show, and he asked them about this question for them was about Mount Sinai, right? He wanted to ask them about, like, where is it today? Like, is it in Egypt? Is it in Saudi Arabia? But like, he wanted to know exactly where is Mount Sinai at, is what he wanted to ask them. And they responded and said that he didn't really know, right? The Zariak responded and said, and I'm nearly paraphrasing, but it was around, along these lines. He said, I don't really know where it's at, so I can't really give you a direct answer on that. So then I called into the show and I asked him, and this wasn't the initial question I wanted to ask them about, but since there were so many people trying to call in that particular night, I could only ask the one question, which was not actually the reason I called up. It was just a side note that I wanted to mention before I asked the main question, which was about an entirely different subject. But I didn't get a chance to do that because there were so many callers. But anyway, I called in, and the first thing I was asking them is about, where's the Mount Sinai? Then he says, oh, that's somewhere over in Saudi Arabia, which I agree with him. But here's the thing. I asked him because on this stream that you guys did with the other dude who called in, you said that you didn't know where it was. So now you're saying that you do know, right? And then I wanted to go into the information as to where it is. Like he said, yeah, somewhere in that region. Now, as far as where exactly there, he didn't give me an answer on that, which I already know the answer for that. I mean, it's very clear for anyone that's done the research. Um, if you do the research, just go online, look up, what's this dude? Ron Wyatt, right? Mount Sinai. It's not only this individual. I mean, there's like, 10,000 other people who went to this spot and did their own research, to bring this information. I just quote Ron Wyatt because it's a more in-depth information that he goes into compared to other individuals. But he goes off on some stuff too here or there. But yeah, if you do the research on it, the Mount Sinai is located over in Saudi Arabia. I believe the mountain over there, they call it Jebel El-Lawz, right? Jebel El-Lawz, look that up. Now the mountain, if you look at it, the top of the mountain is completely burned. Why is that? Because that correlates with the story that the Most High descended down on the mountain and the mountain got burned. That's the only mountain in all of Saudi Arabia that has a burned top to it. And then down at the, down off of the mountain next to it, there's 12 pillars of stone that are set up there. That correlates back to the story. And not far from there, there's a massive split rock, and the rocks around it show evidence of water erosion on them. So that's where Moses split the rock, and the waters came down out of it so the Israelites could drink. And the final nail on the coffin is next to the mountain, there's a altar there, right? A stone altar with, on the altar, they chiseled, if that's the correct word to use, they chiseled onto it um, menorahs and cow images, right, bulls, and all that stuff. And the government has that facility blocked off to the average person. You can't independently explore it now because if they find you, looking around the site of the altar, the locals there, they'll say, oh, yeah, that those people, are looking for gold, right? Because it's known that there's a lot of gold in that area where the altar is. Why is that? Because that's where they made that golden calf statue, where they melted down the jewelry and put it all together and made a golden calf and put it on the altar there. So again, all of the information being put together, it's undeniable that that's where it took place. And again, nobody has any other argument unless somebody can provide better information, more compelling information, other than what I'm saying. And so far, out of the years I've looked into it, I've never seen a better, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, a better place that fits it more so than what I'm saying. If you get what I'm saying, right? If that makes sense. And as far as the Red Sea crossing, right, where the Israelites crossed the Red Sea, that took place at the what's it called? Oh damn, oh Nuweiba Beach, right? The Nuweiba Beach. If you do the research on it, right, it's in a spot where you could have a few million people blocked in because there's mountains on each side. Like it's a wide area, but you can't escape anywhere. There's mountains closing it on, closing it in, excuse me, on both sides. And there's a path that you got to go through. If you were to leave the beach area, you'd have to go travel back through the mountain range again. There's a small path through there, but then the small path opens up to the massive beach, right, the Nuweiba Beach, and there's no way to escape from there other than going through the water, right? Um, so off of the location, that's a strong indication that that's where it happened. But then the nail on the coffin, or I should say nail in the coffin on it, is they've actually scuba dived into the Red Sea in that area, and they found chariot wheels, right, horse skeletal remains, men's skeletal remains, Egyptian chariot wheels that were at the bottom of the Red Sea, right? And they were not just one or two, there was a vast number of them that were scattered at the bottom. So, again, all the information compiled together, someone's yet to provide a better explanation for, where this event took place if it's not, this place that I'm saying. Right? I've never saw more compelling information to convince me that it's something else. Let's see. Let me just check this out real quick. But yeah, it's ridiculous some of the nonsense these characters are spewing online, man. It's just damn nonsense. Like I mean, it comes to a point where it's so ridiculous that you don't even know what to say anymore. If you get what I'm saying, it's so ridiculous that you don't even know how to respond to the nonsense at this point anymore. Because we've seen it all, right? We've seen it all. People coming on saying that, the mark of the beast is talking about Sunday worship, that God loves everybody, that, that God is Satan, that the law doesn't exist anymore. And speaking of that, right? Speaking of the law not existing, oh, and real quick, Rudy asks, "What's your gamer tag?" My gamer tag in what game in particular? What game are you asking me? Maybe I got one. But going back to what I was saying is, they'll tell you, the Catholics will tell you, the law was done away. Christ did away with the law. So just entertaining that for a second, just entertaining that idea for a moment. Wouldn't that mean that sin's also done away with? Because it tells you that what is that? 1 John 3:4, for sin is the transgression of God's law. So if God's law doesn't exist today, then there can't be any sin because sin is breaking the law. But if there's no law to break, then you can't sin. Oh, and since I said sin, that Perry the preacher finally, probably got summoned to the stream because I said his favorite word. But anyway, in all seriousness, it just don't make no damn sense. They'll tell you that, the law doesn't exist. But then if you ask them, well, what is salvation? They'll tell you, Christ came to, die on the cross for people's sins, so they can believe on him and be saved, right? That's basically the basics of, Christianity, which they go off, right? They don't know. The part they're right on is it is true that Christ did, die on the cross for forgiveness of sins. That part is true. But who did he die for? He didn't die for every human on earth. He only died for the Israelites, according to the Bible. Right? So you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the true Hebrew Israelites of the Bible. Right? Not those imposters, living over in the land of Israel today. Those guys are, as racist Mario would say, those guys are pretendos, right? Those guys are pretenders. Pretendos. And the ironic part is, if those people were the real Israelites, right? Well, why are you guys still having pride parades over in the Holy Land today? It's like you guys don't know that the scriptures speak about that you're supposed to put people to death through type of activities. So why would you guys have parades uplifting and promoting that type of behavior if you're God's chosen people back in the Holy Land today? Shouldn't you be trying to uplift the commandments? So that don't make no damn sense. And then second, most of the Jewish people over there, right, so-called Jews, and that brings to mind the scriptures. What is that? Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9, right? I know that tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them who say they are Jews, but are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. Right, but guess what? There's a judgment that's going to, befall them in the future. What is that? Revelation 3:9? Right, those who claim to be Jews. I'm nearly paraphrasing the text. Those who claim to be Jews and are not, but, are deceivers, I'm going to make them come and worship before your feet. Right, so the fake Jews are going to be forcibly made to come and bow down before the feet of the true Israelites in the kingdom. And that's what's going to happen. So those people in the land, those are imposters. Those are not God's chosen people. Now, could you have a handful of real Israelites in Israel today? Sure. Nobody's denying that. But as a bulk, a bulk of them, right, a vast majority of them are imposters, right, or pretendos, as racist Mario would say. Shout out to anybody who knows what I'm making fun of. Let's see. So as I said, it's ridiculous, the doctrines and pure heresy that these dudes are coming up with on YouTube. Like, I'll give you an example. When I was talking with Berean just an hour ago, which again, it was a very friendly dialogue back and forth. But one thing he was going into, right? We had a conversation about the Edomites. Can they or can they not be saved? Of course, our position is, no Edomite can receive salvation. If you're an Edomite, there is no salvation for you. And really, you other nations as well, there's no salvation for you either. But the Edomites are going to get the worst punishment for what they did to the children of Israel because God decided that He hates them. And there's nothing anybody can do to change that. The scriptures, it says what it says. There's nothing you can do to change that. God said that He will hate the nation of Edom forever. What is that? Malachi 1:4, where the Most High said that His indignation towards them will last forever. Right? So not one of them is going to escape that judgment according to Obadiah 1:18. So I was bringing it up to him, and he was like, "Oh, it doesn't literally mean that. Some of them could, as long as they believe in sweet Jesus, they're good. They can repent. That's his standpoint on it, which doesn't make any damn sense. But I know why they have to say that because, again, they teach that salvation is open to every human on earth. So if they admit there's a group of humans that cannot receive salvation, well, the whole statement to begin with would be invalid because salvation couldn't be open for every human on earth if you admit there's a group of people who cannot receive salvation no matter what they do. And then don't even get me started about the heresy of people going around saying, I'm saved, right? I'm saved. Well, for one, what have you been saved from exactly? That's a real question. A lot of them don't really know. Some of them will say something like, been saved from my sins, or saved from dying and going into hell. Which they don't know what hell is anyway in the Bible. Because we're in hell right now. Right? Hell is a condition of suffering that takes place on the earth that we live on. That's what hell is in the Bible. Not a place that people burn when they're sold apart from the body. That's false. Let me see. But yeah, going back to what it said, guys will go around and say, I'm saved this, I'm saved that. What the hell have you been saved from? Exactly. The Bible says, was it Matthew 24 and verse 13? It says that he that endures unto the end is the same that shall be saved. Damn, the end hasn't came yet. And the only people who could get around that would be a preterist, right? Because they believe the end came in 70 AD. So the only people who can try to wiggle the way out of that is a damn preterist. But other than those guys, which they're everywhere. It's unbelievable the amount of preterists there are out there. Whether that be a partial preterist, a full preterist, regardless, it's crazy the amount of them that are out there. I was just listening to Deacon Sakari, and he was doing his live smoke room, which I wanted to hop on there with him, because I got some smoke for Sakari. Some real hard hitter questions for him. But the reason I couldn't hop on is because it was too early in the day, where I'm not available at that time. So unfortunately, due to that, I wasn't able to hop on. Which Bible Defender hopped on with him, but since there were so many people calling in to get their questions answered, or their challenges accepted, they only answered one of his questions out of the two he had. So he got booted off before he could ask the second question. That was unfortunate, but they didn't do that on purpose. Well, at least I don't think so. But yeah, I wanted to challenge them because they teach that there's many things, but one of the things is they teach that man was created on day 5, but the Bible teaches that man was created on the 6th day, which I'm aware, right? I'm already aware that each one of the days of creation represented 1,000 years, right? The first day was 1,000 years, day 2 was 1,000 years, day 3 1,000 years, day 6 1,000 years. I know that. So the entire story of creation in the book of Genesis happened over the course of 7,000 years. Each day represented 1,000 years. So, of course, we all should already know that it's not literally, 7 24-hour days. That's not what it is. Once we consider the fact that what is that? Second Peter 3:8, for one day with the Most High is as 1,000 years. 1,000 years are as one day. And then we also know, going by the Apocrypha, going by Second Ezra chapter 14, it gives a little parable. The world is broken into 12 parts at Ezra's time. Nine and a half parts have passed, right? And then there remains half of a part, which will go to the 10th. So that would be 500 years roughly, from Ezra to Christ, right? Roughly 500 years, 400 and some. And then from Christ's time to us now is 2,000 years. So the earth is roughly 12,000 years old. All right, so to answer that question, because I know people asked a question about how old the earth is, creationists, what they'll do is usually they'll say 6,000 years old. That's usually the go-to that most Christian creationists would say. But we know, based on the scriptures, based on the creation story not being literally, 7 24-hour days, but rather 7,000 years, going by the parable in the book of 2nd Ezra 14, we can understand now that the earth we live on is roughly 12,000 years. Okay, so to answer that person's question who asked, according to the Bible, the earth is roughly 12,000 years old. Right, so it's not 6, as most Christians would say. Because the part that they miss out is they don't understand that the days of creation are actually, each day represents 1,000 years. They don't understand that part. So if they did, they might have a more so accurate number as to how old the earth is. Let's see. Damn, there was something just popped in my mind, but now I can't remember what it was. It was a subject I wanted to bring up. Oh, damn, I can't think of it now. It might come back to me. Here, give me a second. Yo, Rudy, have you heard from the mine of Shrek? I know that Galapagos, right? Last time I talked to Galapagos, which is actually a couple of months ago at this point, um, said it was in an Airbnb. So I'm not sure what he's up to now, man. We haven't saw him in like 6, 7 months, around there. Yeah, man. I mean, try to reach out to him, but he don't answer the messages. That's unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is, I suppose. Let's see. Oh, and then another thing I want to comment on. As I see these comments that come in, people want to, put up a damn, 10-minute long, comment, take you 10 minutes to read the entire comment. It's like, come on, man. Matter of fact, I used to hate, um, reading in school. That would be one of my least favorite, things to do in school. Um, but now I've taught myself how to read, right? I've read, as I said, a good 20 thick books, which is ironic because I'm not much of a reader, right? But I have read, I have done, I have read the Bible a handful of times, which you got to do that. Hey, look, let me tell you something. For those guys out there who have not read the entire Bible, you better get on there and do it. Hell, even these atheists out here who don't believe in the Bible, even most of them have read it a handful of times front to back. Hell, when I was 16, I read the entire Bible front to back. And then I did it again when I was 18. And that's not counting the other times that I have read, the Old Testament independently by itself, the New Testament by itself, the Apocrypha by itself. That's not counting in those separate times. I'm saying, hey, look, I sat down, read it like as a Christian would, right? A chapter book, page after page after page, right? Not skipping anywhere. I read it entirely through, front to back, 2 times, including Apocrypha in there. And once you do that, you can see that a lot of the concepts that the Christian church has are incorrect. Because you see, the problem is a lot of people just don't want to read. Okay, and again, there's nothing wrong with listening to videos on YouTube or listening to, the Bible be read to you online. There's nothing wrong with that. But truly, at the end of the day, if you want that hands-on experience, right? No pun intended, but if you want that hands-on experience, you got to actually pick up a physical copy and read it yourself. And that doesn't only go for the scriptures. That doesn't only go for the scriptures. That can go for any book out there, a history book, a biology book, a fictional book, right? You can listen to the book get told to you online. You can do that, but you'd learn more. You'll be able to grasp more if you have a physical copy in your hand that you can read at your own pace. Let's see. Um, Excuse me if I butcher the name, but Martin Berto, as I said, excuse if I'm saying the name incorrect. He said Kent Hovind, I hope I'm saying his name right, is a creationist and is a great debater with atheists. Yeah, funny you mention him. I was actually watching a debate from his channel yesterday. Well, I shouldn't say his channel. It was actually on what's this guy? Standing for Truth, right? This YouTube channel called Standing for Truth. You can look him up. He has like a Superman character as his logo for the channel. But I was listening to a couple debates that Kent Hovind had. He was actually live yesterday on that channel, so I did catch it and I was watching it live. They were debating about, what was it, about evolution, which is, one of his go-to topics on there. Phenomenal job from, I'll give him credit, phenomenal job at refuting the theory of evolution. Now, when it comes to the scriptures, that then he'd go off, on definitely some stuff here or there. But I do got to give him credit that when it comes to debating the subject of evolution versus creation, he does a phenomenal job, much better than I myself could do. I got to give him credit. So yes, I know who that is, and I've watched a handful of his debates. Another good debater is, and this guy goes on what's that channel? Modern Day Debates, right? Modern Day Debates. Which, fun fact, by the way, one of the moderators from Modern Day Debates, which Modern Day Debates, don't they got like, what is it, 60 to 80,000 subs now, I believe? Shit, I started watching them when they had like, I want to say like 15,000 subscribers, 20,000 subscribers. Been watching them a good year, if not a year and a half now. I watched plenty of their discussions. Very good channel. Check them out. The name of it is Modern Day Debate. You can find them on YouTube. But one of their co-hosts, her name is what is it? Amy Newman, right? Amy Newman. I actually saw that she was live on her channel. You can look her up, right? Amy Newman, the host from the or one of the co-hosts, I'll say, because they usually have a dude on there, but sometimes Amy Newman hosts the debates on the Modern Day Debates. But she does live streams on her channel, where they invite, Christians or theists, as they call us, one who believes in the higher intelligence, right? They call you a theist. They'll let us come on. So I'm, hopping onto one of their streams in the near future. I was gonna hop on one of them, and they actually invited me on, but I had a difficulty with my connection, so unfortunately that time I wasn't able to do so. But in the future, I'll be able to, hopefully be able to hop on there for a discussion. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was mentioning this other great debater by the name of Nephilim Free. Look him up on YouTube. His name is Nephilim Free, which I've actually reached out to him and asked him if he would hop on the stream with me and Mina Shireg. I'm talking like maybe 8, 9 months ago now, 10 months ago. We reached out to him because he's a ball earther, right? He believes that the Earth's a globe. So while now he's going off, however, I got to give him credit because he, once again, on the theory of evolution, he completely steamrolls the theory of evolution in every debate I've watched from his. Now, again, when it comes to the scriptures, he would go off and wouldn't necessarily understand the scriptures very well. But I do got to give him credit. Very good debater on debating things such as evolution. If dinosaurs existed with man, that's one of his expertise. If I could say so myself, very good information that he can bring up. Proving Noah's Ark actually existed. Oh, with Noah's Ark is another thing because they've actually found that over on which if you read the Bible, what is that? Genesis the 9th chapter says that the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, which is over in Turkey, right? Now, over in Turkey, on Mount Ararat, they found a massive 500-foot ancient ship, right? An ancient wooden ship that's 500 feet long on the mountain. That's, for the most part, completely buried there, other than a small portion of the top being visible from the air. So I did the research on it, which you can find documentaries on it. Just go ahead and type on YouTube, Ron Wyatt Noah's Ark documentary. You can find a few hour-long documentaries on the subject. But they first found it, I believe it was in the 80s, is when they first cited this, right? When they first went down to do the to do their research, however they did it. Again, you have to check out the documentary to know what I'm talking about. But I believe they said something about seeing it on a flyover, maybe a decade earlier or something like that. Again, you'd have to look up the documentary and watch it to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, based on all the research that I've done on it, it's certainly, I'd say certainly that the structure over on Mount Ararat in Turkey is definitely the Noah's Ark from the Bible. I mean, it matches up too good. And the Bible even says that Noah's Ark came to rest on that mountain range. So what are the odds? I mean, it obviously has to be. Again, one can deny it, but I mean, hey, the proof is there. And they've actually explored this thing. They went down in it, took some photographs. And inside of the boat, there's actually stalls, I could call them, for the animals to be held in, right? They have like a, it's hard to describe if you don't see the picture what I'm referring to, but they have, I guess we could say, um, it's designed in a way where they can tie the animals in an area, right? So it was designed to hold animals of some sort. And again, it's very fascinating. You can look into the information if you don't know what I'm referring to. Um, but yeah, I mean, you can't deny it. Evidence is there, overwhelming. Yeah, Rudy, I know about Ken Hovind. I don't watch much of his stuff, but I've definitely known about that character for a number of years, but I don't. I just recently watched a few of his debates, but I've known about him for a while. Rudy said, "Yeah, I saw the Ron Wyatt vids and that how they found the real Noah's Ark." Let's see. SKS said, "I heard you can now get other people on your live stream on YouTube. Don't know if the update is live yet." Um, well, I'll tell you what. Based on what I see from my controls here, right, where I can monitor my microphone or the camera angle or the live chat, there's no option to allow anybody to join. So maybe in the future that's possibly a future adjustment they might do, but as of today, that's not so. Let's see. But shit, man, I mean, because let me say this, YouTube, I've been on YouTube, whether that's, me put my content out or just watching YouTube. Hey, look, I don't watch cable television. The last time I watched cable television was when I was like 9, 10 years old. Because I was poor, which I'm still a poor ass bastard today, of course. But I grew up poor, right? On my TV, we didn't even have Nickelodeon or oh, what's some of these other sites? Disney Channel, Cartoon Network. Um, we had not even Boomerang. Right? We had Cubo and oh damn, there was another channel. Yeah, a news channel. We had a news channel and we had a channel named Cubo, right? A children's channel. But that's all I had, when I was like, 7 to 10 years old. So really that's mostly the last cable television that I watched. But then later I, got Disney Channel, watched that a little while. Um, but then I, outgrew that, and ever since then it's just YouTube. So I haven't turned on cable television for myself to watch any of their programming for a good, say, 10 years. Which is crazy because I was 10 years old back in 2012, right? The year that people said the world was going to end. I remember that about how going to school and people talk about the world, with the Mayan calendar, the world's supposed to end tomorrow, right? The world's supposed to end tomorrow. Yeah, I remember telling the minor Shreg about this one story where back in 2012, right, there was a story that came out about somebody was so convinced that the world was about to end. What they did is they kidnapped a whole bunch of people and they forced everybody into a school bus, right? They stole a school bus, they kidnapped a whole group of people and forced everybody into the school bus. And I'm not sure what their plan was, where they were going to plan on going if the world was going to end. Um, but they forced everyone to stay inside there because they were so convinced that the world was about to end tomorrow. And then nothing happened. Damn crazy, man. Let's see. SKS said, I haven't owned a TV for probably 12 years also. Haven't missed it. Well, let me say this. I do own a TV and I use it frequently, but I do not use it for cable television. I only use my TV, ironically enough, to watch YouTube or to play a PS4. So I do own a TV. I own a flat screen, but I don't watch cable television. I only use it to play YouTube on or the Xbox or something. That's all I use my TV for, and that's what I've been doing for years on it. Shit, because you can also watch movies if you have like an Xbox 360, stuff like that. You can watch movies on it as well, so it saves me the expense of having to buy a damn, DVD player as well. Let's see. If anyone got questions, you're welcome to keep them coming. So I won't be on for too much longer. But we'll go a little while. Let's see. Martin Berto said some church or religious organization tried to discredit Ron Wyatt and said he was a fraud and stole money. Did anyone else ever find out if they were lying about Ron? I mean, I've heard people make up, false, stories about the man as well. And hey, look, I didn't know the dude, which he ain't with us now. He passed away, a fair while ago, as far as I know of. Um, but as far as what he did or what he did not do, I don't know. All I know is that the information that he put out there, I took it, I did my own research on it, and it came back to be factual on most of the things they say. I don't believe he found no Ark of the Covenant. That's bullshit right there. Now, he might have found an ancient box of some sort. Maybe that's a possibility, but I wouldn't say that it's the Ark of the Covenant. Now, one might say, well, they said they found that and it was false, well, why would you believe the other findings? Well, because it's not just him that's saying that. I mean, you have 10,000 other people who independently researched this stuff and came to the same conclusion he did. Just like, I'll give you an example, just like with the BHI. They didn't just wake up one day and went out on the street corners and start screaming at people saying that we're the Israelites. No, there was a process that was done here. People, took information and they did research on it. And they're like, oh, wait a second, connecting all these dots together, we're actually the Israelites. And, when I first heard it, I was skeptical, but then after I did the research on it, hey, you can't debunk it. It's true. Can't debunk it. Hey, you have a saying that goes, hey, you can't be against the truth, you got to be for it. And that's just how you got to look at it. SKS said, I got rid of TV because I couldn't watch it. Just got mad about all the lies and BS every time I opened it. I mean, again, man, you can own a TV, but not hook it up to cable television, because you have to have a company come out and hook up the TV to receive their channels and whatnot, right? So there's nothing wrong with owning a TV. Hell, I own a TV and I haven't watched cable television in 10 years. I just watched YouTube. And YouTube came out when I was like 3 years old, right? So YouTube came out in like 2005, which it originally, if you did a research on it, there was three guys who are the founders of YouTube, right? And initially, YouTube actually started off as a dating website, is what it initially was. But then they decided to scrap that idea and just make it into a video sharing website. And that's how we got to what we're, with today. Yeah, I agree, Rudy. Right? TVs aren't too bad if you're bored. Yeah, I agree with you. Like if you got something called a Fire Stick, you can look it up on Amazon, right? A Fire Stick. It's a device that you can hook up to the TV and connect it to your home Wi-Fi. So therefore, you can watch all of your, well, for someone who did like television, you could watch all of your television movies. You can watch them on there just by using the internet. So say for an example, you can hook up to Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Hulu, right? All of the other, streaming platforms out there. You can all hook up to them by just hooking your TV up to a Fire Stick and then hooking the Fire Stick up to the internet. Or also, if you have a Xbox 360, Xbox 360, PS4, and any of these gaming systems, a vast majority of them, you can hook them up to the Wi-Fi, and you can watch YouTube on them, maybe Netflix, and some of the streaming services on those gaming systems as well. So that's always an option. Hey, just like what's this dude? Just like the sensible prepper would say. Look him up, the sensible prepper on YouTube. As he always says, you got to improvise to survive. Right, I like his quote. Right, as that cat would say, The sensible prepper, hey, you gotta improvise to survive. Always like that statement. Sometimes things have to be half-assed. That's just how you gotta do it. And that's all right. As I said, I'll say it again. You gotta improvise to survive. That's just how it gotta be. Let's see. SKS said, yeah, it's a good screen for other purposes for sure. Might get one someday again. I use phone and laptop to watch YouTube. Oh shit, man. I don't even the only device I own today, but believe this or not, this might be hard for some of you to believe, but the only device I own, which not counting in the TV, not counting the TV in, I only own a phone. I don't have any laptop, I don't have any tablet. I only have a Samsung phone. Four of them for that matter, but three of them don't work because they need some serious um, work done to them. Whether the screen's broken, the charger port has failed where it can't be charged. So I'm left with one phone. So I record videos from one phone. I um I stream from one phone. I watch YouTube from one phone and sometimes off the TV. Um, I game on one phone. All right. Hey, some of you guys are lucky, man. Let's see. Private War said just brought a Xbox Series S for 96. I'm not sure about the Series S. I've never heard about this. I don't know if 96 is a good deal or not on that. I'm not familiar with that with that system. Martin Berto said, not only did Ron claim he found the Ark of the Covenant, but also the blood of Christ tested by two or three different labs, saying only with a chromosome of a mother. Yeah, I don't accept that either. Again, as I said, some of the stuff that he gives is false, but then there's some credible information that they give. And the credible information, again, there's 10,000 other people out there who did their own research and came to the same conclusion on, I'll give you an example, on the Mount Sinai being in Saudi Arabia, about Noah's Ark being on Mount Ararat, about the Red Sea crossing site, to give you a handful. There's 10,000 other people other than Ron Wyatt who conducted their own research and came to their own conclusion. So again, on those two particular quote findings, I don't accept that. Maybe he found something, but I don't believe it's what he claims on those. But just because he might be wrong on that, that doesn't mean that the other information on the other subjects is false. Let's see. Let me tell you something. One time, not too long ago, I used to live at an apartment complex where they had a community center, right? So I had to live for 8 months. Let me say it again, 8 months without internet in my home. So if I ever wanted to use the internet, I had to go to the community center and use the internet. So I had to upload videos. I had to sit there for 2 damn hours in the community center to upload a 25-minute video to YouTube because for 8 months I couldn't do it at home because we couldn't afford internet there. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's real bad. You get what I'm saying? The minor Shrek thought I was playing around. No, no, man, ain't no playing around. I'm dead serious. Uh, let's see. Just bear with me a second. Okay. If anyone else has any other subject or question, you're welcome to put it in now, because we'll be wrapping up relatively shortly. Um, because again, I just got off a 3 hour live stream just before this. Again, if anyone wants to check that out, go to Berean Perspective Apologist, and you can check out the 3 hour live stream we just done together. If anyone wants to watch that. Um, because I already scheduled with Berean, which actually the first time that we scheduled it, I had the Corolla, right? Which I didn't have it the day we scheduled it, but of course, 2 days later, I called it. So we had to reschedule it for another week. Then, when I was ready to have the conversation on the day we agreed, then Berean, due to severe weather in his area, had to postpone it to tonight, right? So we were, Lord willing, and you know, we were able to have the conversation. Which again, it was a good conversation, right? Good, friendly, back and forth discussion. I gotta give him credit. But me, you know, one thing I try to do, man, is I listen to this podcast, but you can check it out. It's called the Minimalist Podcast with what are these dudes? Joshua and Brian, right? Joshua and Brian, which they actually had a very good documentary on Netflix. It was called oh damn, what is it called? Um, oh, The Minimalist Less Is Now. Look that up on Netflix. You can watch it. Um, you can find them on YouTube. Just look up The Minimalist Podcast. Then they also have another page called The Minimalist. Got about 300,000 subs on the channels. You should check them out. But they speak about, right, in the teaching, it's not a religious channel for the most part, even though some religious people come on time to time. But mainly the topic that's spoken about is the idea of minimalism, right? Living with, less clutter in your life, whether that be digital clutter, whether that, of course, be physical clutter, right? Stuff that you don't need. Because especially living over here in America, right? Babylon the Great, that great city, we um, grew up in a consumer-based society. That's how the merchants of the earth got rich off of this places. They manufacture these goods for cheap, send them over here, and Americans buy them up at 100% a profit for the ones who made it. The stuff's manufactured cheap, sent over here, and that's how they make their profit. You have overnight millionaires, like this whole thing about the pet rock. Right, they literally get a damn cardboard box, right? Put some uh, um decorations on it. Put some grass inside the box, and then put a literal, if I can say that correctly, rock, like an actual rock that you can pick up at a riverbed, and put that in there and call it pet rock and sell it online for $15. And I'm not joking around. That somebody really did that and they became a millionaire. I'm not even joking around. Look that up. It's true. Somebody did that by selling pet rocks and they became a millionaire. Say, damn, why couldn't I have thought of that idea? Let's see. Oh, James. Oh, you're the cat from this cat in the comment name Slim Jim James, right? I'm just messing around with you. Right, James in the chat. Um, this cat was over on Berean's channel. Now, James, real quick, I didn't leave the Berean's channel on purpose. I had to take an important call. So I did want to continue with you. But James, if you want to do this, I host live streams on this channel where I bring people on and we can have a conversation. If you would like to do that sometime, that is fine. Or you can contact me at my Gmail. If you go to my channel, go to the About section, you'll see my Gmail. Contact me there, and we can set up a show where me and you can have a conversation. If you want to do that, contact me there. If not, put the notification bell on. And every week I host live streams where anybody's welcome to click the link and we can have a friendly civil dialogue about where we agree in the scriptures or where we might have a disagreement in the scriptures. However, tonight I'm live from YouTube, not using StreamYard, so I cannot bring you on here right now because I'm only on the solo platform, just to clarify. Let's see. This cat, James, said, how can you be an end time teacher and worship and promote the golden calf? What the hell is this cat talking about? Man, are you, did Poops send you a damn box of some strong substances, man? Inside joke. You gotta be on something, man. Hell, it's that time of the night where the weirdos start coming out. Man, this cat's off the chain. James, do you even know how that's so? And if you do, you need to demonstrate how in the chat, man. But anyway, going back to what I was saying before we were interrupted. Oh, what's up, Purple Flowers? What's up, man? Shalom. Yeah, shalom, shalom. Nice to see you. Um, but going back to what I was saying is that, the Minimalist podcast, very good. Check them out. Um, teach about, living with less, right? Getting rid of the, clutter in your life that you don't need, right? For one, it makes your living space more, may I say, tidy, right? Frees up room. And then two, which is the big one, it takes away stress by owning less. Hell, that rhymes, right? It takes away stress by owning less. And it's true, right? The less that you own, the more you have to worry about. Hell, it makes it a lot better when moving day comes. That's for damn sure. Let me tell you something. I'm only 20 years old, and I've lived, and well, with the same family, but we move around a lot, like every 2 years about. So in, I've lived in about 14 different houses from my birth to today. 14 different houses in 2 different states. Isn't that crazy, right? And I swear it's true. I lived in 14 different houses in 2 different states, and I'm only 20 years old. Hell, I've got to set some type of damn record. And there is a reason why that is, but that's a story for another time. Like, I'll give you an example, right? When I was young, I want to say maybe, what, like 7 years old? Right, we moved down to Florida from Pennsylvania, right? So we stayed with my cousins down in Florida, at their place. Then they moved around because they got kicked out of their place. They moved into like 4 or 5 different homes. And then, from there, we had to move to different places, on and off. So yeah, I've lived in 14 different houses, possibly soon to be 15. And I'm only 20 years old. As I said, I had to have set some type of record. It's crazy. Most kids only have maybe 1 or 2 childhood homes that they were raised in. Right? Hell, I've lived in 14. Let's see. Hell, I've had a real interesting life, man. And that's in a bad way and in a positive way. Shit, my first job was working at the community that I spent 8 years of my life growing up in. My first girlfriend I had was with a girl I was, we were best friends in school, right in middle school. Hell, we're not together anymore, but we're still good friends. We've been friends for probably a good 7 years. It's just funny how sometimes things work out, right? You just you gotta think about that sometimes, man. It's just funny how things sometimes work out. Sometimes it's for better, but oftentimes it can be for worse. That's just that's how you gotta look at things, man. This cat said ETT from the hood, right from the trenches. Damn, man. Man, that's crazy. I guess James isn't here anymore. No, we must have said something to scare him off. Cause that cat, I was talking to him like an hour ago on Berean's stream, as I said, where we were having a conversation over on Berean's channel. He sounded like a cool dude, but then he brought up Galatians 3:28, and he brought up about there being no male or female. So I asked him, which I didn't even know what the hell this dude was going to the scripture to even prove a point, because he didn't tell me in the first place why he was going there. Right? I asked him, but he didn't tell me. So he said, there's neither male nor female in Christ. And then I asked him, it's like, okay, are you a male? And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm a male. But because first he said, I agree with the text. You're ETT, you don't agree with the text that there's neither male nor female. Then I asked him, oh, wait, are you a male? He said, oh, yeah, I'm a male. Then it's like, but wait a second. The verse says there's neither male nor female. So that he was in a trick bag then, which I know what it's saying. I understand what the scripture's saying, but going off of his understanding of the scripture, it shows that he don't know what he's talking about. So you got to use their own logic against them. Just like if somebody says that Christ died for the entire world. Now, what's the world? The world is talking about the Israelites. The Israelites are a world of their own according to Isaiah 45:17. But even by their logic, if Christ died for the entire world, well, why did Christ say he did not pray for the world in John 17:9 if he died for the entire world? That don't make no damn sense. Let's see. If anyone has any last minute questions or subjects, you're welcome to bring them out now, because we'll be closing out in just a handful of minutes. Because it's getting late over here. Damn, it's been an hour and 20 minutes just about. Damn, I didn't think it's been that long. But hey, just like, hell, I've been throwing out a whole bunch of phrases tonight, man. But hey, just like the old saying goes, time flies when you're having fun. And it's true, man. Time flies when you're having damn fun. Shit, I used to tell you something. When I was 10 years old, right? I used to, I used to sit there all day, right? Day in, day out, right? Would get up in the morning, go play Minecraft on Xbox 360 until late at night, go to bed, wake up, play Minecraft on Xbox 360, and then go to bed and do the same thing, right? For the summer, right? I'd do that, for the months of the summer, right? Day in, day out, but those hours go by like nothing, man. Especially playing damn Minecraft. Shout out to anybody who knows what that is. Sure, that Minecraft's still popular today, and the game came out over what is it, 10 years ago at least? It came out in 2011. Yeah, yeah, been near 11 years now. Man, that's crazy. I remember when that came out. I'm a veteran of that guy. I've been playing that since early. Some of the earliest updates. Same thing with another popular game, Clash of Clans, right? I've been playing that since I was like 12 years old. Game just recently turned the game recently just turned 10 years old, just like a month ago. It's crazy. And I know it's going a little bit off topic, but sometimes you got to do that. Whatever subject comes up. All right, but I guess we'll call that the stream there. I thank everyone for stopping by for an hour or so with me. We'll definitely do another StreamYard stream soon, open panel. If anybody watched this and made it to the end of the stream, go ahead and put hashtag. You know what? We'll give James a little shout out because he stopped by. Go ahead and put hashtag James in the comment section. Once again, hashtag James if you made it to the end of the video. But anyway, I'm going to end off by saying shalom.